This is the Stock Trading Reality Podcast, episode 67.
I had a perfect storm of a market crash plus these massive unexpected expenses, and it literally wiped out my savings account.
This is the Stock Trading Reality Podcast, where you get to see the realistic side of a trader's journey. Get inspired and stay motivated by everyday normal people who are currently on their journey to trading success. And this is your host, who once thought he was Superman, only to get in massive trouble with his dad, Clay Trader.
So here's the setting. The night before I watched Superman, it was probably with Christopher Reeves, and he grabbed some kryptonite, or I don't know, he grabbed something and then just chucked it up into the sky, and because he's Superman, whatever he threw up into the sky flew and flew and flew, and it was gone. So then the next day, we're at, I don't know where we were. We were out at some like outdoor outing thing, and like downtown of the city that I was at. And I remember sitting there, and I look down, and I see a rock, and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm going to be Superman. So I pick up that rock, and I just chucked that thing up into the sky. And then, I don't know, it probably didn't go up too high because I was kind of young. But a few seconds later, I hear, beep. I'm not going to say it on air, but somebody was not happy because a rock had just landed and hit them in the face. And I looked up at my dad. My dad looked at me, and he knew I was guilty. And he grabbed my hand and was off to be disciplined. And I'll just leave it at that. So I guess the lesson I learned there was, I'm not Superman, first off. Second, don't do things that you see in movies. And third, if you are going to do it, make sure you're not like standing close enough to your dad where you're well within the discipline zone. It was just very unwise decisions on my part on multiple levels. So it's a good story now, though. I always enjoy that one. I don't know why it's taken me this long to write it down for a fun fact, but my imitation of Superman did not. I would guess it could have got Ches. It probably could have gotten worse if I saw him fly and I'm like, hey, look at that high tree up there. Let me climb up there and jump off and see if I can fly. So it could have been worse. Would you agree with that?
It could have definitely been worse than that. It actually, I was laughing over here. I had my microphone muted those because just like you, similarly, I'd always loved kind of action movies as a kid. And there's two things I tried to do to imitate a movie. One was I thought I would be like those action stars when things blow up and they fall off the high building and they hit the ground and start running and then they keep moving. So I tried to do that off of our shed at a relatively young age, and I ended up fracturing my wrist because it wasn't smart to kind of jump off of a tall shed and try to tuck and roll when you don't know how to do that and you're like 8 years old. So I did that because I thought that was cool in the movies, and I also jumped off that shed holding an umbrella, thinking that I would float down slowly. But that one went better. I didn't actually get too hurt.
You must have watched Mary Poppins after that one.
Must have been something like that.
Were you in a dress too? You were in a dress, weren't you?
Was not a dress, but that was the only parachute that we had was an umbrella, and I thought holding onto it I would float down slowly. So yeah, so lesson learned out there. If any of you believe that you can just imitate what the movies are doing, you probably shouldn't do that. And there's professionals who do this much better than any of us would.
I know this is not what you said, but I'm gonna. This is my version of the story. Last week, you dressed up in a dress, climbed to the top of a shed with an umbrella, and thought you were Mary Poppins. So that's the story I'm sticking with. So for all you listeners out there, please hold Ches to this encounter.
No, I actually just did that last week here at where I'm living, and now I have an eviction notice on my door because people are saying we can't have this guy in a dress jumping off the roof with umbrellas. So
I didn't know they gave eviction notices in Somalia. That'll make sense for you listeners later on in the interview. So anyways, as far as the interview, we are talking with Chris today. He goes by Exhibit in the room, XZBT, and we discussed a little bit about the screen name and all that, but he's in a super interesting spot. He's not Clay Trader University. He is a member of the chat room, and he's really just had some crappy luck. I won't go any more than that, but it's put him in some unique spots where he's still been able to stay involved and engaged in the market. And as Ches and I discussed, it's a pretty unique perspective because I think a lot of listeners out there are like, yeah, I'm interested in the stock market, but for whatever reason, you're just not quite there to be putting real money on the line. So there's a lot of things talked about what Chris did in order to, like I said, stay engaged and just try to learn the markets in more of a hands-off type of way. So a lot of good nuggets of wisdom here from a unique perspective, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. And we had quite a few joking around, laughing moments. So this was definitely a fun interview to be a part of. So let's get right to it. Well, hey, Chris, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you guys having me on.
Now, in your mind, how do you say your screen name? And I see it as exhibit, but is that what it's intended to be, or what exactly?
Yeah, that's correct. It's exhibit, and it's actually in no correlation to the rapper exhibit. The idea I had when I came up with this name was that I want to be a successful exhibit or example of another clay trader student, and so that's kind of where I got the name. I definitely don't want to pimp your ride, and I definitely don't want to pimp your steaming hot stock pick either. So
Yeah,
Yeah,
well
I could
played.
see the lawsuits on their way now. So keep an eye on your mailbox.
Yeah, that was
well, I
really
missed
good.
a vowel in there. I just went with the consonant, so I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, very, very nice. And that was all unscripted. So he, Ches, we're dealing with somebody with a quick wit. That he does not want to pimp your ride. That was good. That was
He'll
good.
fit in here just fine.
And he just revealed his age a little bit here. You and I, we chuckled, we got it. But if you have no idea who exhibit is or what pimping your ride is referring to, then Ches, I think we're all getting a little old.
Yep,
Right.
I'm starting
That's
to feel a little old as well.
You got it though, right, Ches? Because I know you're a bit younger than I am.
Yes, I got it. And I remember back in the day, Clay. You're
Well,
not that much older than me. Let's not forget.
Yeah, but sometimes you're
He
so
had
old at
MTV.
heart. Yeah, exactly. But sometimes Ches is so old at heart, as he self-admits, that he's out there yelling. Actually, Ches was late to the podcast because he had to go yell at some kid for being on his lawn. So
Yeah, I was too busy watering the lawn out front and sweeping the sidewalk, and then those silly kids came by with their scooters and skateboards and made a mess of it all.
sweeping the sidewalks. Oh man, we could have a podcast about nothing. We could totally have a Seinfeld podcast if we really wanted to, but we're not going to. We're going to talk with Chris. How would you like to? Should I refer to you as Exhibit or Chris?
You can call me Chris.
Yeah, I was gonna say Exhibit. I feel like I'm talking to the rapper, so
Yeah,
I'm,
we'll keep the exhibit on the forum or the
Yeah.
chat rooms only, and you can call me Chris here.
all right, sounds good. All right, Chris. Well, typical question, or first question, I should say. What got you interested in the stock market? How did you first hear about it? And then what was kind of the things that led you to finally go from, oh yeah, I've heard about the stock market. Oh yeah, that sounds interesting, to actually putting some of your money on the line?
Okay, well, I started off, I've always been aware of the markets. You hear the Dow's up or down every night on the news. And so I always was mindful of that. And I have an uncle who was successful as well. And in 2007, he pulled his money out of the market because he saw a top. He pulled his retirement out and went to cash before the 2008 crash. And that was interesting to me. I didn't have the foresight that he did at the time, but it really got me interested. And at the time, I was running a successful business. I started a business when I was in college at age of 23, and by the time 2007, 2008, it was really starting to come around, and I had some cash, and I had a CPA. A CFP that I had hired, and typical with those guys, it's buy and hold. I was interested in pulling my money out in order to conserve it before a potential crash, and he talked me into buying and holding. So I kind of went on my own path to learn about stock trading and to see if it was something that would be viable for me to manage my own money. My uncle also had a friend who was a successful floor trader in Chicago, trading futures and options as well. And he had put me in connection with him. And unfortunately, he died before I was able to make contact, literally within a month after receiving his information. So unfortunately, I wasn't able to tap that, but that kind of inspired me even more to go out and learn. So from there, that led me to Investors Hub, which is where I found you, Clay, on the charts.
Let me just, because I'm curious. So you wanted to kind of take your uncle's advice and get out before the crash. Is that accurate?
That's accurate, yeah. And like I said, my CFP friend and also advisor talked me out of it.
Okay, so you held then. So when the bubble popped and when the market crashed, you were still holding. Is that correct?
That's right. That's correct. And the bad part is at that same time, I had some expenses, unexpected home repair expenses come up that were, thousands and thousands of dollars. So I had a perfect storm of a market crash plus these massive unexpected expenses, and it literally wiped out my savings account. Within a year, it was gone. It was over $20,000, and it was all gone.
So did you sell then, or did you hold through the dip?
I continued to hold, but as things came down, and then I had those expenses, which meant I had to withdraw some of that money.
Okay.
then it was all gone.
Gotcha.
Just flat out. It was just gone.
So yeah, like you said, the perfect storm.
Perfect storm, yeah.
Yep.
And so by 2010, my business, my company was actually, my website was attacked by Russian spammers, and they spanned me way off of Google. Like had Google rankings, and they spanned me off there. At the time, Google wasn't able to manage that stuff, and it really hurt my sales a lot. So it was at that time that I had lost all that money. My business was in decline. I realized that I wasn't going to be able to trade actively. So that's where I've kind of walked away from it. Although you, Clay, had such an impact on me in technical analysis and really learning the scientific method of trading, not just trading on emotion, not just trading because it's a great company. You trade because the chart says to trade. And that's something that really stuck with me after I took robotic trading. And from there, I set up about 50 different charts that I look at almost on a daily basis just to keep up with the world and what's going on. And, so I've for the last almost 10 years, I've studied charts and I've mentally exercised the trading, but I haven't been an active trader for all this time.
Well, then that's completely understandable because I don't think there's a better. I think the phrase was actually probably created for you, the perfect storm for kind of everything that happened, with your website and the whole market crash and just those unexpected bills. That literally is the perfect storm if there ever was a storm.
It was brutal.
But obviously that was 8 years ago now. So I know you're studying charts now and you're kind of working on stuff now. But what actually led you specifically to iHub? Were you looking for kind of small cap stocks because you're going to try to put a small amount of money back in the market, or what was it that actually led you to kind of a stock board or just kind of a forum for other traders?
Especially a penny stock board, nonetheless.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I was looking for ideas, for things to trade, because at that time I didn't know what technical analysis was, so I was just looking for ideas. And of course, iHub, as you said, it's a penny stock haven, and there's a lot of pump and dumps. And I tried a few things. DPDW was one of the ones I failed at. That was
Wait, did you say D as in dog?
Yeah, deep down is the name of the company.
Yeah, that was
oil rig.
That was after the month. Yeah, oh yeah, they did the deep based in Houston. I got a T-shirt from them actually.
Did you?
Yeah. They were.
I got a thumb drive for all the money I lost.
They were they were post my Kool-Aid stock of the stainless steel company or muffler company. So I still had some Kool-Aid in the system, but this time I recognized things a lot faster. But yeah, I still wasn't able to, because I got in and I drank some Kool-Aid a little bit, and then it went really my way. But so it wasn't nearly as bad as the first one. But yeah, deep down, yeah, I think they might still be around actually. But
they are, yeah. I looked at their chart recently to see if they still existed, and they do. But the price is way down, and that was my first and really only major loss or really penny play. After that point, I was like, okay, I'm done with pennies. So that was that, and that's where I came across you. And it's like, I want to know the science behind this. I want to learn how to do this correctly. Trade without emotion. That had such an impact on me. And that's why I came to you.
So now I do already know this. So for full disclosure, this part is not exactly, unscripted or real because I know this a little bit, but you actually took robotic trading version 1.0, which I put out, I think like 10 years ago now, but you were you took that one. So
I sure did.
You stumbled across me. What made you? Because let's be honest, at that point in time, the marketing wasn't quite there, and it was you were really just taking a leap of faith in me. So for me to you, thank you very much. Because right now, I'm still thankful for people that give me the benefit of the doubt. But at this point in time, man, like I said, the whole marketing, it left a lot to be desired because that was definitely in the early days. So what actually did you have an understanding of charts beforehand? Or is that kind of, pushed you over the edges? All right, I really want to take this to the next level. So you actually put your money where your mouth was and, bought the course.
That's right. Yeah. So, I hadn't heard of technical analysis or charts or anything like that. You look at a basic chart on Yahoo at that time and, you get basic information. But, you were the only person that I found out there that was really talking about technical analysis, and your videos were showing, here's this price support, here's this resistance, here's what we might be able to expect, here's the range, so it really, I respected you and your work because you were taking the scientific approach to it and not the emotional approach. You know, you see so much pump and up going on those forums, and you were like a beacon of hope, you know, for a guy like me that prefers to, you know, really learn the ins and outs and take the scientific approach to things. So
Yeah, you seem like a very analytical type of guy.
I definitely am. I'm a researcher, investigator type, and I'm glad you asked about personality types in the questions. You know, I think that's important for people. For successful traders, you have to have, I believe, certain personality traits of you know, patience, perseverance, and also be a very good researcher and be able to find these things, and kind of even dumb luck sometimes, just stumbling across something can be a big help.
Yeah,
Now,
sorry, Chaz. That's funny you mentioned dumb luck, because when I stop and think about it, there is a lot of dumb luck that exists in the markets. Meaning,
yes.
I have 4 monitors and I have my scanners on one screen, so all it takes is dumb luck for me to kind of just glance over at my scanner. Whereas maybe an email, I just finish it up at the right time, I click send, and then I glance over to a scanner and I see what I like to refer to in the room as a Christmas tree alert. Now, if I, you know, just out of dumb luck, if I had just maybe had another email or decided, you know what, I'm going to type another paragraph in this email or another sentence and not looked over there and seen that alert, I might have totally missed it. So I've never really thought about that, but that's true. Dumb luck does factor into
It absolutely does. Yeah,
Yeah.
because things happen, and if you're not there, if you're not at the terminal, if you're not paying attention, you can be taken advantage of, or you know, if you are there, to take advantage of.
Chaz, you got any dumb luck type of example? Like in the world of options, I know you're doing lots of farming with that. I mean, this is like a group session right now. We're all admitting that, hey, we do have dumb luck part of our strategies.
I think it's especially day trading, just like you said. If you had chosen to write an extra paragraph, you might have completely missed that trade. So for kind of the longer term kind of swing trade type trades that I'm actually doing, for the most part, most of it is, it's a combination of dumb luck and it's a combination of being positioned before something happens. And that's totally, you know, there's no way, we all trade at the hard right edge of a chart. I love that saying. And I'm glad that somebody kind of told me a long time ago, because we can only trade based on what we see right now. We have no clue if something's going to happen. You never know if some crazy news is going to come out or some country gets bombed, unfortunately, and all these things impact the market. So generally, if you are kind of set up, and, you know, we're using charts are our tool here. I'm usually set up based on the daily chart, and a lot of the time it's been great. You know, I'm not as lucky as Hooch, don't get me wrong, as far as kind of being in things before surprises happen. But you know, if you just plan trades well, generally, even if the unexpected happens, you're usually pretty safe as far as just kind of keeping your risk small. So
just to translate, it sounds like you're saying that which does make sense from the swing trading perspective, advanced options perspective, you more so create your dumb luck rather than just, it's not really random luck. It's created dumb luck on your part.
The way I see it, you're increasing your probability of success. That's what we're trying to do here. There's no guarantees. We know that, but it's about probabilities of success. And so you're, you know, by reading charts and playing what we see, the history of what we see, then, you know, we can increase those probabilities of success. And that's why we're here.
Well said. Well said. So I want to go back to kind of your earlier journey. Did you ever have any sort of fool's gold or kind of, dumb luck in the sense of, hey, I know what I'm doing? Or did deep down really just kind of smack you across the face right away and say, hey, you don't know what you're doing? Or because some people get smacked across the face. The problem is they don't know they're getting smacked across the face, and then they keep doing stupid stuff. So after deep down, or maybe even before that, was there any sort of fool's gold in your early parts of the journey? Or were you pretty kind of receptive of the fact that, hey, I'm getting smacked across the face, I don't know what I'm doing?
Deep down definitely smacked me on the face, and it definitely went deep down. And, you know, I try to live my life with the philosophy that I try to learn from my mistakes and not make the same mistake twice. If you can do that, you win life. So that's really kind of how I move forward with anything in my life, is just to learn from those mistakes. And deep down definitely was a mistake. And from that point, I felt burned, and I wasn't going to let that happen again. So that's where I went into the technical analysis and learning charts and trying to become more educated to make those higher probability type trades.
And that's all we can kind of strive to do as traders. But obviously, a lot has happened kind of since your time on iHub. So I guess in the interim from when you took Robotic Trading 1.0, how did everything kind of progress from that point forward? I know you're using kind of technical analysis as your tool. You're not going to be subject to the Kool-Aid and kind of anything else that's out there. What does the trading kind of path look like? Because a lot of people hope for that smooth equity curve up, but in reality, it's generally a lot of squiggly lines, and hopefully we don't have another perfect storm on our hands. You already had one of those. I'm sure that's enough for a lifetime.
Yeah,
Yeah,
just to,
for
and to piggyback real quick, that's a great question. So, you said 2007. So right now it's 2016. So to Chez's question, there's a pretty big time gap there. So,
Yeah.
what exactly was going in? I'm not saying you have to fill it in, month by month, but yeah, take us on, what exactly happened after Deep Down, you took the course, and kind of fill in, those bigger gaps of time.
Yeah, well, like I said earlier, as of 2010, after all that money was gone, my savings was gone, and then business started to decline in 2010. It just became clear to me that I wasn't going to be able to actively trade. It just wasn't in the cards, so at that point, then I have my charts, and I took what I learned from you. With all these different patterns and supports and resistances and your power lines and all that, and took that with me. And so, like I said, I have a bookmarks of charts on stockcharts.com, and I would just look at those every day. And it's like, okay, well, if I were trading this, what would I do? Here it's bouncing off this simple moving average. Well, I would probably go long here, type of thing. So it was mostly just mental exercises through the years, not actively trading. Just doing mental exercises. And I tell you what, back then, I don't think it existed. Maybe I'm wrong, but was paper trading available back then? Because I don't recall that being available, like on platform paper trading.
To be honest, I'm not sure. Chez, do you have any idea? Well,
if I had to guess, because I know it's come leaps and bounds in just the past couple years, I would venture to say that if it was there, it was extremely primitive. But I just know that became a huge focus kind of later on with kind of the rise of just kind of pretty much internet trading and these platforms kind of coming together. But if it did exist, I'm sure it was very, very rudimentary, and just kind of the origins of paper trading in general is you were probably going to do better just having probably a data feed and actual pen and paper.
Yeah,
and see, the thing I don't like about the pen and paper, and this is exactly why I didn't want to do it, is because you lose that factor of accuracy, because if your orders don't get filled, then you're not in the game. So I don't believe that writing it on paper is necessarily an accurate representation of success. I know there's plenty of times I'll put an order out in the morning and miss it because I didn't put the price high or low enough, so I missed out on that profit, so to speak. So for me, writing it on paper was never really an option because I didn't feel it was accurate. I'm an all or nothing kind of person, so I just left it alone. From what I understand, the paper trading kind of came into play in 2013, it seems. That's when things really started changing. I tell you what, paper trading is such a luxury, and I hope that listeners out there don't take it for granted, because to be able to practice entering orders on platform in real time is just exceptional practice. And I highly suggest people take advantage of it since we have that tool now.
Now, this is why I love these things. I'm going to take the other side of the trade. So you're going short paper and pen. I'm going to go long paper and pen. So I fully understand what he's saying is, all right, so I write down $26.50 as the price I want to buy in. Well, how do you know if the price, because a lot of times in the real world, the price is going to hit $26.50 and then you might not get filled. So that's not very accurate. Is that what you're saying, just to make sure?
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, exactly. Because your orders, if you're actually placing an order on the platform, it may not get filled all the time. And so if you're not filled, well, you're not participating. So you wouldn't have made that trade. So
exactly. So here's my argument. And I promise none of this is scripted, because you've given me a great plug to one of the videos I've done that's free out there for people on how to paper trade properly. So going back to the argument, which I fully agree with, and why I, suggest in that video, this is what you need to do. So if you want to say, well, I want to buy at $26.50. If the price hits $26.50, then you got to tell yourself, nope, I didn't get filled. The price has to hit, let's say, $26.47. It's got to go below what you actually want in, because that's going to ensure that you actually get filled. Now on paper, you still got in at $26.50, so you can't go and say, well, I got in at $26.47. You would have to keep it at $26.50. So that is a workaround, because Chris is 110% right. That is something that leads people astray because they're assuming they got filled at these entry points, but the price would technically have to go a little bit below 2650 in order for you to consider getting in at 2650. This may sound confusing, just you sitting in your car listening to it, but we'll link in the show notes the video that I'm talking about, so you can go back and watch that. So that's there is kind of
especially true with options as well.
Yes,
you have to be well below or above the price that you buy at in order to get filled.
Yep. So that's just good little, but I fully agree with Chris. I'm just saying that there is a way, if you do prefer paper and pen, you can there's workarounds with that. Mm-hmm. But as far as there is no way, I cannot argue with Chris at all in terms of practicing entry order, getting used to a platform from that perspective. There's only one way to do it, and that's to actually do it. So there's give and take of both, but I would definitely say that paper and pen has its pros. And pros and cons.
As long as you
do
something, in my opinion, something, and that's something that was a mistake that I made, is I didn't take that step. I did mental exercises looking at the charts, but I never actually wrote it down. Yep. And that is one thing. If I could go back and talk to myself, then I would say, stick with it, write this stuff down, and also learn options. I wish I would have learned options back then.
Yeah, there's. Options are great, but I want to, before we can talk about options, but I find this very fascinating because you said for years you didn't trade, but you're doing these, you'd look at charts and all that sort of stuff. And I think there's lots of listeners that are probably in your shoes in terms of, I feel like Chris back in 2010 when I just literally can't trade right now for whatever reason. So I want to kind of dig more into this because I don't think we've ever had this conversation, but so years, and you said you would look at charts. Now, were you looking at these same charts like every day, or were you looking at them every week or every month? Because, years is a long period of time. So walk us through exactly what you were doing, because I think a lot of people could maybe even use that right now to just stay engaged in the markets, even though they can't, necessarily trade.
Yeah, so what I did was basically on stock charts, I just created a lot of bookmarks, the major indices, gold, silver, oil, natural gas, and then I've got some of the major ETFs as well as the major stocks, the big companies, coal, steel, palladium, mining index. Also, I'd kind of gotten into some graphite plays out of Canada, and also natural gas. I saw that one coming from a mile away. Like in 2012, if I would have put money in that, that would have blown up big. But it's one of those things. So over the years, I've missed a lot of opportunities that I've seen. So I'm looking forward today to be able to take advantage of those things moving forward.
Yeah. So and the thing is that that you can always kind of stay, following the market. Just like you had said, you'd always heard something, about, the Dow is up this much and the S&Ps are up this much. And, there are plenty of, ways to kind of follow stocks and kind of charts. And, we always kind of encourage TradingView just because it's a great tool, and it's zero cost at all. And the beauty of it is, you don't actually have to have any money at all to do these things. You don't even have to register for an account if you don't want to. But what you can do is you can kind of start practicing, start getting familiar with things, start setting things up. And you're already going to be building this familiarity that, say, somebody who comes into the market with $100,000, never looked at a chart in his life, you actually already have a leg up on him. You're comfortable with things. You're kind of starting to plan things, and that is zero cost at all. And especially to the listeners out there who are just not ready to kind of, or don't have the capital to kind of put into the market yet, you can already kind of start getting towards it. And obviously, if we haven't preached it enough, it's safe to say that most people who come into the market and have dumb luck or just kind of hit some blind profits, we can almost assure you that the market will take it back. If you didn't kind of earn it and pretty much find your way and take it from somebody else, you're going to generally give it back. So if anything, you should be kind of trying to start, use some of that capital, not just for your account, but kind of start putting into your education and your training.
Yeah, absolutely. I absolutely agree with that, and that's important. I think people
wait. Chris, wait. You're gonna love me because you're a business owner, so you have to appreciate marketing and somewhat. I just got us P cubed. Earlier, you listed words for personality preference, and you said perseverance and patience, and then you said research. I was like, crap. I was hoping it would be another P because then we could say the P cubed. But I just got the P, which comes off perfectly.
Patience.
No. Passion. And here's what I mean. If you're sitting here listening and thinking, That sounds like the worst thing ever. This dude can't trade, so he's just sitting there watching all these things for years. That sounds so boring. You know what that tells me? You would never get into this quote unquote game because you don't have passion for it. You're in it just strictly because you want money and you don't have any real interest in it. So, I mean, that's what tells me about Chris. Listen to that as, wow, this guy had a lot of passion. I mean, he literally could not do anything to trade, yet he sat there and had all these bookmarks and was following these things for years. Not like a couple of weeks and like, all right, that's whatever, I'm bored. Years. So, and passion. Perseverance, no doubt.
I call myself a data junkie because I love data. I love charts and graphs, and just also looking back at history and using it as a method to try to predict the future. I eat that up. I love it, and so it was no big deal for me to continue to look at those things because it's not boring to me. It's fun.
It's like a big challenge, right?
It is, yeah. And like I said, I'm a researcher, so
yeah.
I enjoy information. I enjoy trying to find and figure out things. So it was one of those things that I just continued with because I enjoyed it. It was more fun to me than it was work, and
you had passion for it. You enjoyed it. You're a data junkie. Now, am I sitting here saying that you have to be walking around with a pocket protector and glasses with tape? I'm not saying that. But if you just if trying to figure stuff out, if trying to solve a complicated challenge is like, that sounds like too much work. I just want to make a quick buck. Nope. The stock market is not for you. Turn off the podcast right now. Go, turn on some late night infomercial marketing, and you can watch the people, the big houses that'll tell you, "Oh, I got the strategy for you," and they'll imply that it's a quick buck. But you better enjoy it. You better be, like I said, you don't have to be walking around with a pocket protector, but you better really enjoy the challenge of things. You better be ready to work hard. Enjoy numbers, and numbers not in the sense of like calculus. You're not going to be taking derivatives or anything like that. But you do have to.
That was my worst subject in school, Clay.
Well, awesome. See, so right there, you don't have to. When I say math, it's not. Heck, it's not even algebra. Some basic.
It's not. It's
if you understand that 10 is bigger than 9, then hey, you can figure out this whole trading. Ches, do you have any thoughts on this? Because we got P cubed: perseverance, patience, and passion. So
we have said this on other podcasts before, but I actually.
Because my adrenaline's flowing right now.
No. And when I say that we've said it before, it's because it's completely true. If you guys have been tuning into the past 60 plus, podcasts where we're just talking about, trading, you obviously have some passion here. But like Clay said, if you're a new listener and this sounds like too much work and too much time for you, I'm going to, I completely agree with him. It's probably best you turn this off and, go buy shares or buy a little thing and go look for gold down in some river somewhere. Good luck with that, getting rich quick. But this is definitely a long journey, and without that passion, there's no way you're going to kind of make it through the time period that's required.
Absolutely. Yeah. And the lows as well, surviving the lows and, and not taking for granted the highs either. I kind of take a slug's pace to things. Sometimes I might take a little longer to complete a project, but, I'm a perfectionist and I like to do things right and with quality. So I prefer quality over quantity. And, I know as well as anyone that this is not a get rich quick thing or make a quick buck. You really got to put a lot of work and effort into it, and be patient. Patience is really a major key in this, whether it's from placing those orders to learning and investing in your education. Patience is virtue.
Yeah, there's patience. Kind of has two forms. It has the form of when you're in the trenches actually trading, like you said, you got to wait for the entry. Don't chase, wait for the entry. But you also have patience in the sense of, I'm just not quite ready yet to go with live money, or I just don't have enough money for it to make sense. Mm-hmm. Or, so there's the actual trading, and then there's kind of the business model. Because remember, we're all business owners if you're getting into the stock market, and trading is our business. So from the business model perspective, patience is something that myself included, wow, the stock market stuff is fun. I want to pay. No, let's go right now. And yeah, that didn't work out too well when I'm sitting there drunk on Kool-Aid on a muffler company. Yeah. So,
and connected to that, Clay, is one thing that I still battle with, and that's probably my biggest weakness is the fear of missing out. You see that price running up or down, and you're like, I got to get in, and it's like you just have to stop and think, why am I doing this? Just take that split second to stop and think about it, because if you're trying to chase it, you're going to lose. You're going to lose every time. It's just how the markets work.
Yeah, and really just how human emotion works. Like you said, It's going up. It's going up. It can't go up any further. Oh crap!
Exactly.
It just went up some
It's
more.
only gonna
There's
go
no
so
way.
far.
Yeah, there's no way it's going to go up anymore. Oh crap! It just went up some more. And usually on either the third or fourth one of those mind games, and it's not going to go up anymore. There's no way I'm buying. Oh my! It just went up again.
And then
you finally buy. And then that's no. And then everybody else also gets in, and that's when you see on the chart the big volume bar comes in, and then a nasty candle takes shape, and
I think it's when you can exhibit control in that situation, because it's not, I haven't been in the market so long that I have forgotten those days already, but that is exactly how it goes. And then you look back later and you say, I just bought some crappy, stock that's up 80%. I literally bought while something was up 80%. Just think about how silly that is, but it's just your emotions completely kicking in and saying, I gotta be in this. I can't let it go without me. And nowadays I watch things go up and we call it the balloon. We watch the balloon float away. Hey, don't worry. There's plenty of balloons that show up in the market every day, every week, every month. But once you can it's definitely tough, especially at first. But yeah, I've bought the top and I've sold the bottom many times. But
and balloons also hit power lines and tree limbs and all sorts of things.
They do, and they generally get zapped.
Come back to you. They'll come back to you. So
just wait. It's like fishing. I kind of see trading like fishing. You put your lure out there, and if the bait's taken, great. If it's not, it wasn't meant to be.
Yeah, I mean, and you just, as long as it's good risk versus reward, as long as you're not throwing your bait up into power lines, then
that's right.
You just be logical about things. So now, a couple fascinating things is, so you took my course, so you knew about me a long time ago, but yet you just joined the chat room. I don't know, like a few months ago, maybe. When do you remember when?
It's been about a month now. I've been actively paper trading for about 3 weeks. So here's the story of what happened. So the reason why I didn't trade, I'll be frank here. I was in a marriage, and saving and investing was not in my ex-wife's vocabulary. So we were, we had money, but we never had money, kind of thing. And you're living the rat race at that point. And so, over the years, I just simply did not have money to do it. And so that's why I did these mental exercises, hoping that someday I would. Life has kind of taken a turn for me, and I've gone through a divorce and a bankruptcy, and I've literally hit rock bottom here. So there's not much further to go, but the only way to look is to look up from here. So with the idea that I am going to have money in the future, the first place I came when I wanted to get back into trading was I searched Clay Trader to see if you were still out there and active. And not only were you active, but you now have all this awesome, amazing content beyond robotic trading. So I was happy to see that. And immediately, as soon as I had the $100, I bought the Inner Circle membership, and I'm so glad I did. And I love the community. I love all you guys, and I've really had fun in the short time I've been here.
No, and I also want to see, because I have been accused of this and probably guilty, but it's like all you ever have on, you said it's just for the chat room, yet everybody just seems to be members of your university program. Well, Chris, you're not a member of the university program, right? You're just an Inner Circle member. So so it's not like that's a prerequisite. We just want to talk about members, and whether or not that eventually happens, that's in Chris's hands to decide. But the point here being is, we care about. We just want to talk. We just want to talk to people about stocks, hear about their journeys. And Chris was like, "Yeah, man, I'll tell you what it's." But it's not the most exciting. I've been fascinated so far. I think there's a lot of valuable nuggets of wisdom here. I guess that was my way of confronting some of the trolls out there. So, here's somebody that's not.
Yes, I am not a Clay Trader University member. In fact, I do not have the money to buy it right now. So, that's where I'm at. So,
but you know what? A lot of people are at that spot, and I'm not saying that you are going to buy it. I'm not saying you should buy it. I'm just saying a lot of people are in your shoes, where they have a passion for the market, they love the market, but they just have had rough times. They don't have the money to do it, but there's ways to deal with it. So that's why, we definitely want to talk with you, because, hey, you've already shared, many ways where you can, quote unquote, deal with, just not having the best, what's the saying there? Best hand of cards. But I like what you said. Yeah. Just, you got to look up. That was the perfect way to put it. So,
got to look up.
Yeah, so you stumbled across. I wonder if this Clay guy's even around, or maybe he's laying on the side of the road somewhere. And hey, I am still here. And you decided to join the chat room. So what have your impressions been of the chat room? Just out of curiosity, some people think we're a bunch of jackwads right away because we kind of give it. But I got the impression you rolled with the punches pretty well. But what did you think when you joined?
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. it's expected for people to be skeptical. You're a new person that comes in, and I'm sitting here talking about charts and stuff, but I'm a new guy, and so everybody's like, "Well, who are you, and what do you know?" kind of thing. And I don't take offense to that. It's expected, so it wasn't a big deal to me. I'm just going to continue talking about things I've learned from you over these years, and eventually, people will. Start listening. So, I think people get too maybe too emotional about it. You need to just roll with the punches and stick with it, and learn. Before you start making trades, and definitely before you start making trades, but also before you start making alerts in the chat room. You've got to invest in your education and learn about these things that are being talked about. That's where robotic trading was such an asset for me. It really truly made an impact on me all these years, and it helped me move forward. Even if I wasn't actively trading, I could still read a chart, and I think that's so important, even just for mental exercising, to have that knowledge moving forward.
Yeah, definitely. And I want to commend you for a couple of reasons. Because first off, when you joined, you had said that, you had followed Clay years ago, and, you actually had taken his robotic trading course. And, not everybody's in the chat all at the same time. So not a lot of people kind of probably know that, but they will after they hear the podcast. But, you were pleasantly surprised to find that Clay wasn't living in a cardboard box, trying to sell penny stock at time, at 4 a.m. on some local TV channel. So that was, I do want to, I can completely affirm that story. But, at the same time, I think as well, just like you said, being the new guy on the block, what the community generally has to kind of be on the lookout for, and this is why, just like you said, people are skeptical at first, is that you didn't come in here and say, "Ooh, ticker XYZ looking real good. The ask is real thin here. Everyone should be buying." Because when we have people like that,
it's the next hot stock pick.
Yeah, we know why you're here and what you're trying to do, and don't worry, we're not going to fall for your BS. Not to sugarcoat it at all, but you came in here, you want to talk about charts, and that's why I think the community is just a whole is more than happy to kind of embrace that and kind of converse.
Definitely, yeah, and I definitely feel I've been embraced over the last few weeks that I've been in, and it just takes time for people to get to know your name and to also provide valuable information, and I think I've done that a few times now, and that's just what we're here for, and so I think it's important for people just to not try to just jump right in and get involved necessarily, but also don't be a lurker. Speak, talk to us and get to know us, but also just be weary of making alerts that you may not know truly if it's a good alert or not.
Yeah, I gotta just, because I mean, like you said, some people maybe not jump. There's a big difference between jumping in. I mean, if you are a pro and you're quote unquote jumping in, if you sign up and 2 seconds later your first post is, "Hey, I'm looking at this. I got a stop loss here. My mitigation points are here. I know I'm risking about that much." And you use the word like risk like 15 times in your post. You know what? You're probably going to get hugged from all sorts of people. You're going to cause me to cry, be like, "Oh, I'm so glad this person joined." So if you know what you're talking about, and when I say you have stop losses, they're all in logical places too. But if you present a plan that's like, "Wow, yeah, okay, this," but if you're coming in like Chess says, "Oh, pulling back, weak hands getting out right now, load the boat, buy the dips," you're going to get beat over the head in a tough love kind of way. I mean, and from that point, you can either shape up, be like, "All right, these people are trying to help me," or you can be like, "All right, my feelings are hurt, I'm going to leave." Or you can be like, "All right, well, these people are too smart for my pumping tactics," because you actually know what you're trying to do, and then you're going to peace out that way. So,
Clay, are you telling me a pullback alert isn't valid if the stock has fallen 50% in 4 days? Are you telling me that's not a logical pullback?
Well, I mean, it's the weak hands' fault. It's not the market's fault. It's the
my
weak
entire
hands.
IRA is in this pullback. Okay, so I mean,
buy
I've been
some
buying
more.
all the way down.
Buy some more.
It's just Ches doing his farmer thing.
Yeah,
right.
yeah, exactly.
Farming the nuggets.
So that's funny, yeah, because we are skeptical, and everybody should be skeptical because should be. I mean, this is the stock market. Let's be honest, it's a chat room. Not only of our chat room, but I mean, it's a message board, right? These people can sit there and type whatever they want. So
and this is a dog-eat-dog industry. I mean,
yes.
You will get eaten alive. So you really got to watch out. You can't take for face value anything necessarily. So you really you can't just, "Oh, well, someone made an alert, I'm going to go put this order in." No, I mean, if I see an alert, I actually research it. To decide if that's something that I would want to do or not. And if it's too late, oh well, that's that. So it just wasn't meant to be.
Yeah, there's like 4,000 other or 3,999 other ticker symbols out there that will present you an opportunity at some point in time. So yeah, it still always gets me. I think I'm just maybe venting a little bit about this because recently in the past week and a half we've had some characters show up and it's just like, okay,
I've noticed that actually.
You clearly think this is like a penny stock message board. You clearly think that we're just a bunch of morons that are out there on social media and this person is taking a few punches. I think they're starting to get it. Like, okay, these people actually know what they're talking about. I think this person's doing it out of innocence, though. We've had some that show up and they're a wolf in sheep's clothing, but sometimes they're just sheep drunk on Kool-Aid. So there is a difference there. But I think Ches, I've had enough venting. We can move on, right, Ches?
We can move on, yeah. But
I'm glad you got it out, Clay.
Yeah, thanks for listening, Chris, because Ches never listens to me.
Yeah, I've heard enough of everything you have to say. There's nothing new you can tell me anymore, Clay. Just kidding. We did.
Well, after having a hiatus for almost 10 years, I'm glad to be back, and I'm glad to be following you again, and I'm glad that you're still around. And that just reaffirmed for me that what you're doing is quality. You put out quality work then, and you've put out even more quality work now, and so it was easy for me to join the circle, and it's going to be easy for me to buy CTU too to learn more.
Well, and it's not really me, so you're not really following me. You're more of just becoming. You're accepting the culture of the community that we've created over the past 2.5 years. So
that's what I mean.
I haven't even created it. It's just I would be totally lying if in my business plan to be like, and this is the type of culture I will create. No, when you get good groups of people together, good things happen. I'll just leave it at that. But I take no credit for that. It
really did happen organically because I've been around since relatively kind of the beginning of when you launched the site. But it just kind of. We just have a great group of people. It's one of the rarest things I've ever seen, and I've been in a couple of different kind of chat rooms and communities. So, yeah, but I don't think Clay's business plan. Yeah, I don't think Clay's business plan said I'm going to harbor this community and I'm going to make it in my image.
Yeah, I don't think you did that. On my part.
And I didn't really mean it in that way per se. I meant more about the what is currently the state of the group, and me coming into it, not having been into it before. I just really appreciate what's been built here. So that's kind of what I was going for there.
Well, I mean, a community is only as good as its members, and you're another good solid brick in the foundation. So I don't know if you've ever been called a brick before, but hey,
I have not.
First time for everything, right?
And it's a compliment too.
Yeah, and it's a compliment.
I will be a proud brick in the wall.
So let's talk about, obviously you're here, you're enjoying the chat room, you have plans, it sounds like, to keep investing in your education, but have you learned options yet? Are you in the process of learning options? Because way back when you mentioned that, I mean, let me ask it this way. What are your goals at this point in time? What are you looking to accomplish, whether it be, in 3 months from now, 6 months from now, maybe 3 days from now? Where do things stand right now? And then where do you see yourself? And I'll let you define, kind of that time period.
Yeah. Okay. So right now, I'm practicing paper trading. I've got a few different strategies that I employ that I've worked on and I continually work on. And, before I trade a dime of real money, I've got to prove to myself that I can do this consistently, not just for a day, not just for a week, not even for a month. I'm talking multiple months, maybe even up to a year, like Sean, which, by the way, was a huge inspiration when I listened to her podcast. Just practicing and proving to yourself and being honest with yourself, being real. It's like, I'm not faking this. I'm really doing this. And once you gain that confidence, once I gain that confidence, then I'll feel more comfortable trading real money. But for now, it's more about practice. Even just something so simple as entering an order. If you're day trading options and you're buying the highs and the dips, the order entry can get fast and furious. So, it takes practice to be able to know your platform and to be able to quickly do those things. So it's just so important to develop your plan, test it, and, be real with yourself.
I really do want to commend you on having a kind of realistic approach. I know by no means are you kind of new to the market, but, if I'm going to touch on this again, because you made such a good point earlier, guys, if you're here to make your $1 million in a week and a half or 2 weeks, if you're being conservative, maybe a month, you're definitely in the wrong place. This is definitely over the long haul. So, the kind of, especially, touching on options when things start to move and volatility starts to increase, you could get when the market makers spread things out, and this is actually a time where I'm going to say the word market makers, and they're not the evil people that are out to get you. They're just literally playing the game. And if you're foolish enough to do something silly because you didn't know how to use your platform and you entered a market order when the spread was like $3 wide, that's on you. That's $300 you pretty much just gave somebody. But
exactly, and I've actually made fat finger mistakes in the last few weeks in my paper trading that caused me to lose $100 here or there. So it's just it's important to get that down.
Yep, and that's the beauty of it, especially, and we always recommend people, even if you've been trading live for a while and you move to a new platform, new broker, at least go on it and figure out how to enter your orders correctly, because trust me, we've all entered orders wrong, and even in Clay's Clay's live trade videos, he'll leave a floating order out there, forget it, and be like, oh, well, now I got to manage this. So
I've had times where I don't even know how I got into the freaking position. I'm like, well, how do I own shares right now? So and that's one of those things where it never goes away. I mean, everybody's always going to have the logistical errors where it has nothing to do about your trade plan. You just simply screwed up the logistics of the matter in terms of order entry. But it's definitely good practice, like Chris is saying, to mitigate and to reduce those as much as possible, because those
that just comes with repetition.
Yes, exactly. Yep.
It's like anything, practice makes perfect.
Now, fortunate for you, all the podcast guests, I don't think I've actually declined giving it to anybody. I should have, passed on giving it to all the Canadian guests, but that's okay. We're becoming friendlier with Canada after our recent Pittsburgh trip and meeting them in person and seeing that they're not such bad people.
And they did share their maple syrup with us, which was kind of them.
That was the olive branch. That was they extended the jug of maple syrup. That's going to be the new saying for us in Canada. But nice. If you were, if I was to lend you this time machine that I do have, it's sitting in a shed over here. If you could go back and change or give yourself one piece of advice, not change anything. If you give yourself one piece of advice, what would that piece of advice be?
My piece of advice would be to first off, remove the tinfoil, because I did have some tinfoil over the market makers being in control. And I witnessed the flash crashes and the so-called fat fingers and all that, and that kind of burned me a little bit. But I had to get over that, and also I wish I would have learned options early. It took me about a week to wrap my head around them, but once I finally got them, I mean, it's just amazing how much leverage you can use with a small amount of capital. And actually make legitimate returns in even a stock like Amazon that's trading at $700 a share. Well, if you were to buy 100 shares of that, you're spending a lot of money, and you don't have to with options. And that's the great part about it.
Yeah. And this is perfect, because first off, great answer. You would tell yourself, look, remove the tinfoil. What Chris means by that is kick these conspiracy theories to the side, kick these dumb notions all over the place to the side. And I promise, and we'll put this image in the show notes, but just today, as of the recording, when we did this, I got this on my Investors Hub message board. So on the note of tinfoil, this person says, always bad luck when Clay posts a video. It usually means his group is shorting regardless of what he says in his videos. So I assure you, we are not doing any sort of group shorting.
No, we don't make group trades necessarily. I mean, I don't think I've seen any, unless it's for fun, but we just don't do that. We have our own plans. We have our own strategies, and everybody's kind of doing their own thing. But we come together to share information, and that's what it's all about.
Yeah. And going back to the whole takeoff, the think about what this always bad luck. So this person is somehow equating,
always. There's your first bad word.
Luck into, it's some video has some mysteric powers that cause things to go down. And then I always love, it usually means his group. So in other words, whenever the price goes up, that just means that, he gets no credit for the price going up. It's only when the price goes down, then I blame him. So
Clay, I didn't know you were a market maker. I didn't know you were up there.
Well, what people don't know is Chez is actually not in Southern California. He's actually in Somalia, and he runs the penny stock shorting hedge fund over there.
I was going to say that I'm going to be a whistleblower here and let everybody know that we do have our Somalian hedge fund, and all we do is every time, Clay's videos come out,
it's like the bat signal up in the air. That's it. No matter what I say, I could say this is the greatest stock ever, but that doesn't matter.
We just sell at the market millions of dollars of these 000 stocks. Yeah, no, we don't. It doesn't exist. Take the tinfoil off, please. I still can't believe that years and years that people still believe this.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
that's funny that I got that comment today, and you mentioned if you could go back, just take off the tinfoil hat, stop believing in conspiracy. So thank you very much. That was a good answer. But now we move into the fun stuff. So I'm gonna kick off this party. What is your favorite movie?
Clay, I don't really watch much TV
You
or
better make something
movies.
up then. Just make something up. This is my favorite question of the whole podcast.
Jeez,
I'm,
I
I'm
guess
kidding. If your answer is I
Tommy
don't watch
Boy.
much, that's fine.
I love Chris Farley. He was my favorite actor. He actually died on my birthday, my 17th birthday, so that was kind of rough. But Chris Farley lives.
Yeah, Chris Farley's an amazing actor. It was
He is. Yeah.
AG put out some great stuff. There's no denying that at all.
Being he likes Chris Farley, clearly when he came back, wondering if I was still around, it was either I'm wondering if Clay's still around or if he lives in a van down by the river.
Exactly.
That's what I wanted to find out. Actually, I did,
Yeah.
and it was a great pleasure to see you were still around, and just made me happy to join.
Although I guess according to some of these tinfoil hat people, I very well could be in a van down by the river. So that's always a
Well, you got a Wi-Fi connection in it though. So
Yeah,
you're
that's true.
Living high
It's
life
it's
there.
the Starbucks next to the van. It's down by the river. It's got a great view of the river down there at the
Yeah.
Starbucks. But what would you say is your favorite meal and dessert?
Well, I definitely love Asian food. Thai. I love pad Thai.
Oh, brother. Ooh,
Vietnamese.
yes. Preach it. Preach it.
That's my favorites.
What about dessert?
I don't know. I guess just chocolate. I like chocolate.
Just chocolate. I think that's
Chocolate, anything,
just
and chocolate.
That's good enough. What about what do you like to do for fun or hobbies?
That kind of goes to watching or not watching TV or movies. I research for fun, so I spend most of my time at a computer when I'm not with my daughter, and just learning. I love to learn. It's not necessarily stocks. It's any subject that interests me, and when I really become passionate about something, I want to learn everything I can. I want to become almost an expert without any kind of formal training type of thing. So, I wouldn't call myself an expert, but I want to come just to that point, on my own to try to learn everything I can and show that I can successfully, do this. One of my favorite things is creating something from nothing. And you can do that in business. You can do that in stock trading. You can do that in real estate. There's a lot of things you can do that with. And that's one of the things I live for is just creating something from nothing.
Yeah,
so you're an entrepreneur, I think is what you're getting at there. I can relate to that one.
Yeah, and it actually this is great because it goes full circle back to passion. But I always thought about how much I didn't actually enjoy college because they force you to learn these things, and half the things you might not want to. And then as I've gotten older, I realized that it's so much easier to take time and study. And I mean, I can get lost in books for hours, and I used to never read books or care. But once you have a passion and something you want to learn about, it's amazing, how easy it is for you to just kind of sit down and say, I'm going to learn this, I know it's going to take some time, but yeah,
let me tell you, I got through college with a C or D average simply because, like you said, it wasn't interesting to me. And when I was in school, I went for computers, but they taught you how to go work for a big company, climb the corporate ladder. And the whole time I'm thinking, I don't want to do that. I want to be an entrepreneur. I want to make something from nothing myself. I want to rely on myself to be successful, and I don't want to have to rely on anyone else. So,
and as a full disclaimer, though, I want to put out here, I'm not saying don't go to college because I know somebody's going to show up in the comments and say, don't go to college. Yeah, I'm just saying that
college, but it doesn't mean that you can't learn things on your own. And that's something I enjoy doing. And that's what I do in my spare time.
If you're going to college to major in the Greek wood shoe building art, please don't go to college, okay? Yeah. If you're majoring in ancient Greek wood shoe building, please don't just study it online, okay? Don't go and pay at some liberal arts school where it's $40,000 a year. Don't do that.
I've actually heard of people doing something similar to that. Yeah,
we won't even get to that. Cash flow creation guide. There's a $29 course I offer. Go ahead, go ahead and take it. I mean,
please take it and take some lessons out of that.
Yeah. Oh man. Personal finance. That's never mind. Let's go.
Yeah, you'll go on another rant, and this will be a 4-hour podcast. So
woo!
All right. So, Chris,
Clay, I have a question for you.
All right, let's hear it.
What is your favorite pattern? What's your favorite chart pattern?
My favorite chart pattern. A good old rubber band above the upper Bollinger Band
Yeah.
So massively overextended when all sorts of people are like, oh, this thing's great. And I'm like, I'm going to short.
It's going to go to the moon.
I'm going to sell you the top of this thing. I love that pattern.
That's
but
awesome.
A good old fashioned ascending triangle, that never hurt anybody either. So both of those are some pretty good patterns. So, hey, I think that you're the first person to ever turn. Where's security at? Nobody's supposed to be asking me questions on these things.
Yeah, I was going to say, do I have to worry about my job, Clay?
Yeah.
I mean, now you got another interviewer here. But I have a feeling that this Chris can answer this very well. What are 3 words you believe should be associated with successful trading?
Well, I would say the P cubed. Patience, passion, and perseverance. Sticking with it, not becoming frustrated. Taking your losses as an education moment and learning from that and trying not to make those mistakes again. If you keep beating a dead horse, you're insane at that point because you're just making the same mistakes over and over. And maybe it's not meant to be.
Results.
Yeah, exactly. You're not going to get different results, so you got to try something different. So you have to be aware enough to admit to yourself that you're wrong, and then take steps to fix the problem. And I think that's important for new traders to understand. Well said.
Well said. Well, hey, Chris, thank you very much, or I'll call you Exhibit. So if anybody wants to ride Pimped Out, I'll put Chris's email. And oh wait, that's not what you said right at the beginning.
Oh wait, that's not. Yeah,
that's
and
not.
I don't want to pimp your hot stock either.
Yeah, exactly. So, well, in all seriousness, no, thank you very much. I really like this perspective of things that you gave us because a lot of people are. I don't know if a lot of people have had the perfect storm go against them like you have, but there are some people out there that just aren't quite there to be able to trade and all that sort of stuff. So, but a lot of good tips and nuggets of wisdom of how you can still stay engaged in the market, even though, maybe not real money's involved. So thank you very much, sir.
Well, you're very welcome, and thank you for having me on. I appreciate it. I'm a fairly new member here, and, I really appreciate you extending the limb out to me and giving me some time here.
Hey, well, you just keep being the solid brick that you've been, and I'm sure there's going to be a bright future ahead. So
thank you. Thank you very much. I look forward to it.
You bet. For all
the sun is shining, my friends.
The sun is shining, absolutely. So for all you listeners out there, might like to make a few final requests here. If you're listening to this on the website, then go ahead and click that share button, leave us a comment. And it seems like a lot of people are starting to listen to our YouTube postings. So if you are listening to this on YouTube, then yeah, click the like button there, leave us a comment, and subscribe to the YouTube channel. A whole lot of other videos and stuff are posted there. So definitely explore around the YouTube channel. And then finally, for those on iTunes or any of the other podcast players, go ahead and leave us a ranking and subscribe to the channel, as we do have podcasts that come out on a very routine basis. So thank you again to Chris. Thank you for all the listeners out there. We will see you back for the next episode.
This has been the Stock Trading Reality Podcast. Thanks for taking the time to hang out. To learn more about Clay and the Clay Trader community, including the trading team, premium training, and more, visit claytrader.com.